And with that, I'm going to turn my session over to Joshua from First Trust, which, those of you, how many here were here in our February event that we had? Okay. So some were here, and Joshua was back. He's a good friend of mine. First Trust is out of Chicago, so the Windy City. And
don't hold that against us?
Yeah, it's a great place, actually. I know most people like shopping out there, right?
Yes. I used to. I don't know, man. No, most people want to stay away now. Yeah. Ready for me? I'll kick it off. So I'm always relieved when people invite me again. It means I didn't hate it too bad the first time. So it's always a little bit of a relief. And when no one asked me to speak, what I was trying to do is think about, give you some ideas that would be kind of, I think, encouraging in an otherwise difficult year. There you go. You're good. Order than I thought. A little technical difficulty. That's okay. That's not quite right. Okay. But you know what? I am professional, so we can roll without it. So what I was trying to think is, it's a tough year. We all know this. It's kind of discouraging a little bit, maybe feeling a little bit down. Certainly more fun to be an investor during bull markets, right? I know I have a lot more fun. I've been doing this 23 years, and I definitely prefer the bulls to the bears. The bulls are a lot more fun than the bears. That being said, what I thought I would do today is, in the spirit of kind of encouraging you in kind of a tough year, what I thought I'd do is I'd share a little bit of a story that I think can give you a framework to help you weather these tough times a little better. Some of you may have heard of it. How many of you have heard of Admiral James Stockdale? I see a couple, 5 or 6 people. Fairly well-known gentleman. Admiral James Stockdale was one of the highest-ranked military officers to be captured during the Vietnam War and spend time in the Hanoi Hilton. Actually spent about 7 years there. For those of you who don't know, that would have been a harrowing ordeal. They would have deprived him, they would have tortured him, and all with the point of view, all from the point of view of trying to break him and make him say something bad about the United States, get it on tape, and use it as propaganda. That's it. Thank you. And so Admiral Stockdale, so he was in there 7 years. And I don't know about you, but if I'm uncomfortable in my chair for 7 minutes, I get terribly grumpy. And he ended up getting out and going on to a very distinguished career. He ended up being an admiral. He ended up running with Ross Perot as his running mate, and one of the most successful third-party candidacies in history. He really was a remarkable human being. And a lot of people were interested in what he had to say, and there was an author of a book whose name, I forget his name, but he wrote the book Good to Great. And he interviewed Admiral Stockdale in the 80s. Admiral Stockdale, I love telling this story, he was studying Stoicism at the Hoover Institute. You know, a guy like that would study Stoicism, right? And he asked him, Admiral Stockdale, how did you make it through your ordeal as well as you did? And he said, I had this deep and abiding belief that this moment would be one of the formative moments of my life. So much so, and I believed that it would work out in the end, so much so that I believed at some point I wouldn't change it even if I could. Which that is an astonishing perspective to have about something so difficult. Well, then the interviewer went on and asked Admiral Stockdale, he said, Admiral Stockdale, who didn't make it out as well? And he said, that's easy, that was the optimists. And the guy was like, what do you mean? What you said sounded very optimistic to me. And he said, no, the optimists had this false hope. They weren't willing to confront the reality that we weren't getting out anytime soon. And when the weeks turned into months and the months turned a year, some of them even died of discouragement. And he said the difference between us and them is we had this deep and abiding belief that we would make it out of there, and that it would become a formative moment of our lives. But we were also willing to look at and realize that we were in for a long, hard haul. And we were willing to confront the difficult realities that we face. Now, when I heard that story, and it shows you how cushy my life is, I started thinking about that, and I should remember to say, that paradox that he just described, it has a name. If you Google it today and look up the Stockdale paradox, that worldview, that way of thinking, that's what you'll find, is the ability to look at things, to have a belief in the future, but to be willing to confront the difficult realities ahead. Well, when I heard that, all I kept thinking is, what a marvelous, marvelous framework for a good investor. You know, on the one hand, if you don't have a deep and abiding belief that on some level the capital markets, the U.S. stock and bond market, will work out for you over time, it's kind of like, why are you investing? You have to have a certain amount of faith. But at the same time, we do go through inflection points where it's going to be a little bit hard. I think we're kind of in the middle of one of those right now. And I loved how Nolan kind of set it up, where he talked about the pros and the cons. There's very few things that are all bad and all good. Rising rates makes it harder to make money in stocks, but it makes it easier to make money in bonds once rates get high. So today what I want to do is I'm just going to share a couple quick things. First of all, I want to reinforce in your mind the ability that it does pay off to be patient. I loved hearing that story. What was your boy's name?
Carter.
I loved hearing that story about him being an investor. For years, my son is almost 20. For years, I would always tell my son about stocks. And I would tell him what the president of our company always says, is that a bear market is when stocks return to their rightful owners. And my son was 17, and he comes to me in March of 2000, and he said, "Dad, is this the time to buy stocks?" And I said, "Boy, this is a brilliant time to buy stocks. How much money do you have?" And I thought he was going to say, "I got $500. He's like, "I got $10,000. I'm like, "Have you been selling drugs, okay?" And he's like, "No, Dad, you pay for everything. What do I have money to set on?" He put all that money to work at the bottom and more than doubled it. In fact, instead of going to college, he bought a business, and now he's a 19-year-old business owner doing really well with the proceeds from the courage that he had to make that purchase. You can tell I'm proud of him, but it does illustrate a story. So right here is one of my favorite charts. This is almost 96 years of market history. And what you'll notice is 71 of them are up. I like those odds. Now, it's not a lot of fun to go through the 21 that are down, but I like that. But what I like about this chart even more is the asymmetry between the up years and the down years. And here's what I mean by that. If you notice how many years the market is down, okay, more than 28, it's 3. And these are all the years where the market's up 28. I love that. So not only is it a lot more years that it's up, but when it's up, you tend to make a lot of money. Like my son said, stocks are when they return to their rightful owners. Now, one of the things I thought I'd share with you today is, I think Nolan, I was going to talk to you a little bit about inflation. I feel like Nolan covered that so well. You're probably tired. I'm going to fast forward that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk a little bit about actually something that I think will be a positive thing that might actually help us as we come up to the end of the year. And that's the midterm election. Now, it might surprise you to think that that's a positive thing, but I thought I'd like to share a little market history with you. Would it surprise you to know that midterm election years are actually the most volatile? If you look at the 4-year election cycle, midterm election years are the most volatile. And you can see that here, this orange line there, that's the average annual return of all the midterm election years over time. I think this one goes back to the 50s. That's the average annual return. The blue line is the other 3 years. And so you can notice that if you feel like, man, I feel like midterm election years are really volatile and it's a lot harder to make money. You're not imagining things. They actually are. This goes back, 70 years. It's harder. Now, some people say, well, why don't I just sit out those years? Notice that it's still positive. You don't trade on this chart, but it is more volatile. Now, here's the good news, though. What this chart shows you is those orange lines represent the largest drawdown within the midterm election years. Again, going back to 1950. You can see a lot of volatility there, a lot of big drawdowns. The blue bar represents the 12 months following the resolution of the midterm election. Would it surprise you to know that the 12 months following the midterm election is on average up 19%? The markets don't like uncertainty in elections of any kind, but especially the midterm, tend to represent uncertainty. And when that's resolved, markets like that very much. They know the rules of the game. And so our best guess is if we fast forward here just about a month, we think that there's about a 70% chance that the Republicans capture the Senate and an 85% chance that they capture the House. And so that's going to lead to divided government, which is another thing markets like very much. Now, some of you might be progressives, some of you might be conservatives. I'm about to aggravate all of you, okay? The best configuration of the market isn't all Democrats, it's not all Republicans. The best configuration of the market is a Republican Congress with a Democrat president. So there, consider yourself all triggered, okay? You are all now aggravated with me, but the reality is that is where we are likely to find ourselves later in November this year. And so while there is some headwinds, and I thought Nolan did such a good job explaining, I'm not going to go through them in great detail, this is a great possibility for a little bit of a tailwind I think we could all enjoy, and we're only a month out from that. So with that being said, I'm going to share one quick idea, and it's going to allow me an opportunity to brag on these guys a little bit. So how many, and this is the interactive portion, I'd like you to put your hands up if you think that 1 year from today, the market will be up. I like it. An optimistic bunch. How many of you now think that the market will be down 1 year from today? Come on, somebody's bearing here. There we go. Thank you. Well, here's the news. Those that said that they think the market's going to be up 1 year from today, you have a 77% chance of being right. This is a history of all the markets going back, and you notice that over any given day in the market, there's only about a 53% chance of being up. But if we wait just one more statement, it goes up to about a 63% chance. But if we wait a year, we're a little more patient, there's a 77% chance that the market will be up over any time frame. Now, there's a lot of uncertainties. One of my favorite ideas that our company does is we actually have a fund that protects a certain percentage of the downside and still participates very meaningfully on the upside. I was kind of actually hoping there'd be more bears, because then I could say all you bears would be right and all you bulls would be right. So what this fund does is it protects 25 of the first 30% of the downside of the market. But it still participates up to 16% on the upside. So here's a little bit more of a discouraging stat. I've given you some encouraging. The average bear market is down 31. You look at all the bear markets over history, it's down about 31. Statistically speaking, you wouldn't be blamed to think that, oh, we have a little bit more to go. We're down about 22. So just statistically, it wouldn't surprise us to be down another 9. That would then be the average bear market. I'm not calling for that. I don't know one way or the other. That's just what you would expect. Well, a fund like that would protect a big chunk of that downside, But if the market goes up that 19% after the election, you get the lion's share of that. It's a really neat idea. And it gives me an opportunity to brag on that, because these guys behind me took a very large position in that fund right before COVID happened, and it only lost a fraction of what the S&P did. And then at the bottom of our market, they just moved it to the S&P, which I thought was pretty cool. I actually brag on them. I was like, I got this team in Toledo that did this with this. And the guys are like, wow, that's great. So I don't get to, I like to brag on them. They can't say it themselves, but I can say it. So with that being said, I hope, I'm going to close and leave you with this. Let's check the time. I want you to be encouraged, and I want you to think about that Stockdale paradox. I want you to think about that over time, you really do get rewarded for your patience, for your long suffering. These bear markets do eventually go. And the gentleman that we're playing hockey, I mentioned that Admiral Stockdale studied Stoicism. It actually got me interested in Stoicism. I actually started reading some books on Stoicism, and I learned that the Stoics have a bad rap. Everybody thinks that they're like real hard dudes, no emotion or anything like that. But the Stoics' big thing was they didn't want to try to control what they couldn't control. They tried to discipline their mind to only control what they can control. And one of their stats, I think it was Marcus Aurelius, which is one of the famous Stoics. It was a Roman emperor. And one of his quotes was, "We suffer more in our imagination than we do in reality." And I thought about that. I was like, isn't that true? We always invent the worst possible scenario in our mind. And then at the end, we get to the end and we're like, that wasn't half as bad as I thought it was. And I'm quite convinced that if you remember the Stockdale paradox and the fact that we suffer in our mind more than in reality, we'll probably make it through this. Have a great evening. It's my honor to be here. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Joshua. I appreciate the wisdom, and always appreciate you coming out and spending time with us. So thank you again. Well, we're in the home stretch. We're, said till 8 o'clock. I think we've stayed really on time, and I think the military in me to keep us on track and do that. As we kind of wrap up tonight's presentation, I wanted to invite Chaz Price up to the stage to kind of talk a little bit about an upcoming event that we have, and another way that you can kind of get involved in some of the cool things that we have going around at the firm. Many of you probably know Chaz. A lot of you probably work with Chaz. Chaz is a certified financial planner, so he runs a lot of the financial plan design, has just been a tremendous asset with the firm for the last several years, and helping build out the planning process that we put together. Also serves on the investment committee. It just is, again, another great resource. So I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it. Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming out tonight. It's nice to see everybody. I appreciate, Nolan, you giving me an opportunity to close this out tonight. I promise I won't take long. I know I'm the only thing kind of between you and getting home, so I use my words like I use my money as least as possible and where I think they're going to do the most good. So, I first just want to say thanks to the Hilton Garden, all the staff here. They always show us a great time. Can we give them a round of applause? Food is always good. The staff is responsive. They show us a lot of love, so appreciate that. I also want to say thanks to the team, the support staff. Again, Jenny, Courtney, Cody, everybody on the sales team that we work together. Without them, we wouldn't have the success that we enjoy now, and so I appreciate that. And I can honestly say, and I think I speak for the team when I say that, I consider them family, and quite honestly, we consider you guys family as well. And I know that word family kind of means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. But to us, what I think family means is that a couple things. First of all, we have your back. We have each other's back. And I think Joshua and Nolan have talked about some of the strategies and some of the processes and investment strategies that are doing just that, just kind of making sure that we have your back. The other thing that I think is important about family is that we put the interest of, sometimes we put the interest of our family above our own. And if you guys have any kids, you know what that's like. Sometimes you got to sacrifice for the kids. What that means to you guys is that we are your fiduciaries. We are legally obligated to always act in your best interest. And I also, the fiduciary standard to me means that I like to use analogies. Like when you're in school, I had a couple of professors. Mr. P, he was our Latin teacher. He didn't care, how you got to the answer as long as you had the answer, right? But my calculus teacher, Mr. Taylor, I'll never forget this, would always say, you got to show your work. And so the fiduciary standard, all of the work that we put into the financial planning component of your investment strategy, of your financial plan, is our response to being your fiduciary, showing our work, making sure that you guys know how we got to the answer. Not necessarily that we always have the right answer, but the process that we use to come up with your investment strategy is what's most important. And then thirdly, I think what family means to me and to us is that we have a vested interest in seeing each other succeed and to grow. And when we're talking about seeing your family grow, one of the things that I wanted to talk about was our referral program, our All-Star program, which essentially is the ability for us to basically reward individuals for helping us do the things that we love to do for the people that we love to do it. And I would argue that probably some of the most rewarding relationships that we have professionally are with individuals in this room, or people just like you that maybe weren't able to come. And so the referral program, I'm extremely excited about it, again, because it's going to give us the opportunity to do things for the people that we care about and then to reward you as well. So on your tables, you have the All-Star program. And essentially what the All-Star program is it is a series of special events that the team, the events coordinators and Nolan and the team here have come up with that we really want to reward you guys and say thank you primarily for helping to contribute to the growth of our family here. And so the next event that we have coming up is December 3rd. You guys can come out and see Brandon and Gordy at the Walleye at the Huntington Arena. And the way that you get qualified to attend our All-Star event on December 3rd is essentially by referring a person to America's Retirement Headquarters. Now, I guess I should probably qualify what referral means. For everybody here that knows me, I'm going to be getting married in December. Or I'm sorry, in June. You should know that. A little nervous. Getting married in June. And as a single guy, before that, long time ago, as a single guy, I found it hard, trying to date and meet people as a single dad and things like that. So I hated going to bars. I hated talking to complete strangers. I thought that was kind of like cold calling for dates. You don't cold call, you get referrals for dates, right? So I had this friend, this couple, Jeff and Angela, and Jeff and Angela had an interest in seeing me be successful and to be with a nice lady. So they would from time to time give me referrals. So, of course, glad you guys think that's funny because sometimes it wasn't. But so I remember specifically one time it was about 1 o'clock in the morning, and no one knows Jeff. And I got a phone call from Jeff, and he goes, "Hey, Jess, I got a referral for you." It's like, all right, hit me with it. He's like, she's smart, she's successful, she's got all of her stuff together, she's got all of her teeth, give her a call. So I was like, okay, fine, I'll try it. So of course, I call and I say, "Hey Sandy, this is Chaz, friends with Jeff, told me it'd be okay to give you a call." "Who?" "Hey, great. Well, Jeff, he's in automotive and they're up in a sales meeting for GM." And I said, "Well, Jeff, you met him at a party or a sales event." He said my name came up. well, and she goes, well, I remember being at a party, but I don't remember talking to any Jeff. I'm like, oh man. So I'm starting to crash. So I go into my, sales tricks and I say, of course, what I'm going to use humor. And I say, well, he also said you're in sales, and it sounds like this warm referral is kind of turning into a cold call. Am I right? I was like, yeah. Crashed. All right, so he obviously forgot to say or mention that, hey, my friend is going to be giving you a call. So please don't do that. If you guys have anybody in mind that you think might benefit from, just having an open conversation about their finances, just kind of trying to get a little bit of instruction, maybe a little clearer picture about their financial path, please feel free to refer them to the office. By referring one person to the office that meets with us, that automatically qualifies you to attend our special event. Once you refer 5 people to the office that all come and meet with us, then you are included into our Hall of Fame. And as a Hall of Famer, you are entitled to attend any of our all-star events for the rest of your life. So we want to make sure to say thank you. Some of you in this room are already all-stars. You may have already referred many people to the firm, and we really, truly appreciate that more than you know. And so we will obviously take that into consideration and include you into the all-star program as well. So what's one of the easy ways that you can attend the all-star event that we have coming up? Well, we have some upcoming events that you can simply sign up for and bring a friend. So I know that Scott has the Red Lobster Medicare event coming up next week. I think there is a waiting list for that, but feel free to talk to us in the back of the room if you want to sign up for that and maybe bring a friend. We also have other events. Jeremy has one that's coming up in November you can sign up for. You can also sign up on our website now. So we've went ahead and built out an all-star program website. So very simply, all you'll need to do is go to americasretirementheadquarters.com, click on All-Star Program, and it might be blocked, it's possible, but I assure you, when you...
He's going to scroll down.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, there it is. Sorry. When you click on All-Star Program, it's going to bring you to this page here, and really all that we need from you guys is your name, and that's what allows us to track the referrals. The referral's name, last name, the referral phone number, the referral email, and then just a confirmation that it's okay to give them a call. Don't be like Jeff and just hang me out there. And then how you think you can best help, you think we can best help this person. We don't expect you to know their financial situation in and out, but generally kind of something that maybe it's a neighbor or a coworker or somebody like that you think might benefit from our services. So extremely excited about that. That is our All-Star Referral Program. Come out, have some fun with us, meet the team, or let's watch Gordy and Brandon. Maybe they can become All-Stars this year. And that's really all I have. Also, I'm supposed to say that the lanyards, when you guys leave, just deposit those in the, there's going to be a box back there for you. So again, thank you to everybody that's coming tonight and all my clients, and I appreciate you guys. And thank you so much.
Yeah, I'd say the same thing. Thank you all. We really appreciate all the introductions that you made. We appreciate you taking time to come out and spend with us tonight. And we're always here. If you haven't come in and seen us, we're just a phone call away. Happy to help anytime, any way we can. Have a great night, everybody. Thanks again.